Unified leadership. Let's move. Let's lead. Let's ride. Unified leadership. Light the flame, turn it up loud. Remember the name. Unified leadership. Power and pride. We don't just talk, we testify. Unified leadership. Heart and grind, purpose and rhythm, perfectly timed. Bass hit heavy, croppers and rhythm, purpose and rhythm, perfectly timed. Bass hit heavy, crowd on sway. Kosher Clay, truth and play. Seafood, Raphael, calm control, leaders in sync. Hearts of gold, focus sharp, the mission clear. Every step forward, silence the fear. Discipline, dripping, confidence, how we move together, we amplify. Who we are, unified. What we lead, unified. Stand tall, unified. Every time, unified leadership. Raise that bar, leaders in rhythm, born to spar. Raise that bar, leaders in rhythm, born to spar. Steady and true, the sound of the few that follow new. Strong alive, this is the beat where leaders thrive. Unified leadership.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, you all out there. Wake up, wake up. It's go time. It's go time. It is unified leadership. And we're grateful, man. It's March Madness right now. You know, just off the cuff. If you have been living for any years, I would say beyond the toddler stage and beyond, you know this time of year is very special. And the games kicked off yesterday, and it was amazing. And what was displayed, you all, throughout the day, a lot of leadership, man. That young boy that plays for Virginia Commonwealth University, VCU, that knocked out the University of North Carolina Tar Heels. Oh, man. Hey, he balled, man, and he called it. And that's what was special about it, because he called it. He said, hey, man, they asked him who should have the ball, you know, at the end of the game with you know, the game on the line, basically. And he was like, hey, give me the ball. I'm like Michael Jordan, give it to me, and I'm going to put the team on my back. So we saw that yesterday. On behalf of my brother, Sifu, he's in the area somewhere. We all know Sifu's always making something happen. He's always bubbling with something. So I did see his face a little bit ago. So I'm sure he'll be coming back in to round this thing out. But what is it about today, you all? If you're a leader out there, man, and you stop by this show, Unified Leadership, again, we already know we got like less than 2 seconds to gain your attention. If we don't gain your attention within 2 seconds, you're on to the next. That's the environment in which we're operating in which we're living in. All of us, not just Sifu and I, but the attention. I've learned over the years, you all, that when it comes to leadership specifically, you can't have a microwave mentality. Shout out to Michael Duffy. I see you out there, good brother, wherever you are, because I know you, man. You're from Texas to Colorado to North Carolina. You're everywhere, brother, making things happen. So special shout out to you this morning, Mike. But as I was saying, though, in terms of leadership, this whole microwave thought process, or everything is just magnificent, you know, lightning bolt speed. That's cool, yes, but there's also a sense of really absorbing. On my little signature line when I served in the military, it was just clear, man. 3 words I would put: read, absorb, apply. Read, absorb, apply. And it's amazing how many individuals, you know, just out and about in different situations going on, would say, hey, T.O., or obviously during that time, hey, Sergeant Major, First Sergeant, Gunnery Sergeant, Staff Sergeant, Sergeant, you know, whatever rank I was at the time. They would say, man, I really take hold to your email signature line down there where it says read, absorb, apply. And I would get into conversations with individuals about that. You know, what does that really mean to you, to read, absorb, and apply? If I read the newspaper this morning that's talking about all the March Madness games from yesterday, and I read it and I absorb it, I watched many of the games yesterday. So if I'm absorbing it, you know, I'm kind of in tune with that, because I'm like, hey, man, I watched these games and now I'm reading the narrative about it. But how do I apply it? like we say all the time, implementation. We could absorb, we could read, we could study, we could sit in mastermind rooms, we can go to conferences, we can go to summits, you name it, webinars. But if we do not implement, excuse me, the things that, you know, is really going to move the ball forward. Shout out to Sifu. I see you, good brother. Yay, yay, yay. Um, if you don't apply it, if you don't implement again, you read it, you watched it, you absorbed it in whatever type of fashion in terms of your five senses. But if you do not apply it, um, you're setting yourself short. I would be setting myself short as well. So leadership that breathes, what remains after you lead? Good morning, brother Sifu. How are you feeling this morning, my guy?
I am exceptional, getting better every day. I had technical difficulties, as you can only imagine.
Yeah,
These
bro.
things happen. I was on here earlier and everything was great. And then when I went
Yes.
to go on, I had no audio. So I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I had to turn off my computer." These things happen, right? That's leadership. You just got to do what you need to do and make sure things happen correctly. And so thank you
Yes.
for taking over, taking control as what a leader does, right?
That's right,
I
man.
love the topic today that we're talking about, that leadership breeds, uh, and also what remains after you lead. Because as you've known, as a leader yourself, many times you've been in a situation where the leader comes in and then they leave. What happens after they leave? Do we carry out the instructions that were given, or do we do our own thing? And that's something that is a very powerful concept that some people don't fully understand. And I'd love to get your take on that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that, I look at the root of that, the root meaning uh a saying that I've always kind of took to heart was, you can't lead unless you understand how to follow, you
Mhm.
know, and that kind of plays directly into exactly what you just said. I mean, if the leader gives clear instruction, leader's gone, now we have it, and we need to execute that. Uh, Going far off the baseline could potentially be a disaster. It really could, and it could cause a lot of disruption. Especially if you're working within teams and things of that nature. So, but I do believe in improvising. I believe in improvising in a manner in which it's still within the spirit of the overall delegated, mission to accomplish. So I think Sifu, and I think this solely like with the depths of my heart, man, that uh as a leader, man, the presence means a lot. But as we all know, you can't be everywhere at one time. Uh Short story, I worked for a gentleman. He always talked about decentralized leadership. That was his main moniker. That was, hey, centralized. What does that mean, fellas? That means, hey, all up and down the chain, everybody's a leader and everybody is expected to execute.
Right.
But there's one mission, and you get far off the reservation trying to do your own thing, is what we would call rogue. You want to operate in a rogue way, it could disrupt a lot of things, and again, it breaks down the fibers. So, um, what remains after you lead? What remains? I could count numerous times, Seafood, to where I would bring the individuals in the particular outfit in which I was operating, and I would say, "Hey, everybody, pay attention. This is what it is. If you don't have something to write with, get it right now." Like if you even came in here thinking that, oh, I got a photographic and I don't need to write this down, you're still wrong. I want you to write it down, because how you disseminate that is very crucial. So um I know 100%, man, that just having that same thing, like I was saying with the gentleman, that decentralized, that I know where my strengths are, I know where my weaknesses are in terms of personnel. I know who's going to step up. You know, again, man, it's unified leadership for you and I. And we saw each other briefly. I recognize that you were having some technical difficulties. I don't see that in any kind of way of negative because I have them all the time as well. Sometimes my headphones will go out or the microphone starts to act funky. I get it. You know, my sons are upstairs taking all the bandwidth of stream on their games, and I got to partition and all these different things, or drop it from HD to 720. All of those things I understand. So, but I know there's Michael Duffy. I know there's Teddy Scott and many other individuals out there that needs to hear on this illustrious Friday morning what leadership they can acquire today and implement tomorrow. They only come and listen and watch this because they have a trust factor in you and I, brother. Uh, and they also know that we're consistent in terms of showing up and doing what we need to do. So 880 830 as we call it, or 830, we're clicking the button, man. And hey, we're going hot. And I know you would do the same. So yeah, bro. What's your feeling on it, man?
First, I want to give a shout out to Michael Duffy, who is
Yeah, bro.
actually going to be joining us at our summit in May.
Good, good,
Um,
good.
so if you think about it, right, leadership is truly what remains after the moment you leave. Um, because if your leadership only works when you're in the room, you didn't build a bunch of leaders. You built a bunch of spectators. And when spectators spectate, they don't know how to lead. All they know is how to watch, how to look, how to enjoy it, but there's no leadership that's being built. So in order for us to be a leader, we have to empower others to become leaders. And when you talk about taking notes, I do that consistently I teach classes all the time, and I teach a leadership class every Saturday morning, because these are people who are stepping into roles that other people are going to depend on. And if they're not capable, if they're not able to take notes, I don't want them on my team. I'm going to be super honest, because if they're on my team and they're not doing the mission that you talked about, if they're not all on the same page, the people that they're going to lead are going to get hurt along the way. Their goals, their mission is not going to be accomplished. So whenever I say, get your pen and paper, somebody doesn't have it, we have a problem. And it doesn't mean you're out. It means we have to solve it. And solving it is maybe another leader stepping up and goes, here's my pen and paper. I have extra for you. But then we don't want that happening consistently, right? So we want a leader in all instances to be able to step up. And sometimes they have to step up not only for themselves, but they have to step up for somebody else who may have fallen short. So who do I want on my A team? I want the leader that leads themselves, but is able to step away and forget about themselves and lead the next person who may have fallen short. So that's how I built A teams. There's nothing wrong with a B team, but they're not an A team. So that's why there's different levels, different categories that people get misunderstood, that they want to be in an A team, but they're not doing the work that an A team requires of them. So if we're going to step into a room, the real story for today is what happens when you step out of the room. Will they be able to lead with the mission that you gave them? And that's a question that I ask for everybody. Have you ever been in a room where you had to take over because somebody else came in, gave instructions, and maybe the C players wanted to take over and they don't know how? That's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, man. I I think about different analogies, and I take those analogies and kind of squeeze them into leadership, right? So I think about I love watching PBR, you know, rodeo. I've always been fascinated with watching rodeo. Even as a kid, I would Sunday afternoon, I'd be scrolling through the channels and boom, it'd be on, and just so fascinated with watching those cowboys ride those bulls.
Mm,
But one thing I look at from the leadership perspective, it coinciding with the topic in which we're building on this morning, Seafood, I think about those guys dressed up like the clown, and
oh, yeah.
how they have to be synchronized and work together. And they're out there, a lot of times, uh the most supreme safety. Sometimes it could get brutal for those guys because hey, they're putting themselves out there in terms of, hey, come and chase me to let the cowboy, get up off the ground and run off. So
They're
what
lifesavers if you think of it,
a-
right?
absolutely. But what I learned over time was many of those individuals operating within that role used to be bull riders.
Mm,
It's like I look at the NBA. There's no NBA officials that played actually in the NBA. So when you look at those dynamics from that perspective of
mm,
you know uh, understanding that everybody has a role to play, whether you have experience, within that role or whatnot, like in the case in which we're talking about being in the room, like come May, like it's exciting, man, because it is a think tank lab. It is a constructive uh gathering of the minds, to put something together that is like I said, opening up the show, Seafood, that's really going to move us forward. That's going to sharpen us in terms of making us a better leader, because that may be a weak point. Okay, I didn't disseminate down good enough or in the manner in which I should, and it wasn't clear. The clarity kind of missed the boat, and it could disrupt things. I experience it all the time. Dealing with different clients, dealing with different individuals I work with, and it's like, man, it has to be crystal stinking clear. And when I say it has to be, that's the hope within the heart. Yes, but sometimes it falls short. Um, and knowing that it falls short, it's like, man, what fixes it? Go back and look at some of our other shows when we're talking about communicating as a leader.
mm.
Without that supreme communication as a leader, it's just no telling, man. Um, I'm emotional about it, man. I'm passionate about it. I get fired up about it, Seafood, because I know again that, man, I've seen leaders do things, and I'm in that subordinate position. And it's like, okay, I thank God for the autonomy to be able to improvise, take initiative, uh, do the things that's necessary to continue to keep this thing from just altogether falling completely apart, man. And I've seen it, man. And you've heard me
Mm,
say it a bunch of times, brother. Like it's really serious, man. When lives are on the line. One simple key thing that gets missed could be the detriment of someone's life, man.
oh, yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
and I take that very serious. So again, I try not to overlook being in the room, Seafood. I try not to overlook um, things that are always compared to that level of extreme, if that makes sense. That level of
Mhm.
extreme, like, man, I've literally dealt with pressurized situations where we knew one screw up, someone's high probability of losing their life. Well, we could all lose our life type thing. And I try not to go into situations now currently as a leadership coach, man, with that thought in mind. whatever it is I'm dealing with. Like, had an issue with a tenant that I was telling you about, and that tenant was saying that the heat wasn't to the likening in which that individual would like to have had it. And in my mind, again, taking it to that extreme of what I've experienced, I'm like, bro, I've slept out in the cold for 30, 45 straight days. Like, figure it out. Figure it out, man. Like, there has to be a level of you taking some sort of ownership, but as we both know, it doesn't always work that way as a landlord. So just
No,
just trying to meet it where it's at, brother.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. One of the things that you talked about is that what we're doing in May is it's not only going to be exceptional, but it could become life changing. So what I like to do is go ahead and share this video. Take a look.
Unify leadership.
This is what we do, man. This is what we live. This is our calling. And you walk away with a working document, something that you could hold, that's intangible, that you could utilize, man, wherever you are on the journey. This is not for one specific element. This is for real leaders to grow that leadership acumen, to be better in the home, be better in your community, be better in your workspace, be better in your organization, your teams, man.
If you feel you have no value after day one, we'll give you your money back.
Indeed. 100%, bro.
That's how we stand behind what we believe in.
Unify leadership. Raise that bar, leaders in rhythm, born to spar. Raise that bar, leaders in rhythm, born to spar. Steady and true, the sound of the few that follow new. Strong alive, this is the beat where leaders thrive. Unify leadership.
Boom, unified leadership.
Yeah,
What do you
man,
think of
that's
that
great.
video, brother?
Man, it is great. Yeah. Come and say hello to Seafood, man.
Hello.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
He's coming to grab me. I gotta run Seafood and get him down here to his school, or he's gonna put his seafood martial arts on me.
I got you. I got you.
But hey, man, like I said, man, I love that video, bro, and I love what it stands for. I love just knowing that, again, that level of, man, just going after it, bro. Some of the best commanders I worked under as a Marine, they would say, man, just go get after it. Get after
That's
it. You'll never know until you go get after it. So come May, man, we're gonna get after it. And shout out to Renee, shout out to Jacqueline, shout out to Mike Duffy and many others that's gonna be coming to join us. And trust me, it's gonna be very, very rewarding. And we all get in that room and go hard, man, on what we love. So yeah, man. But I appreciate you, Seafood.
I appreciate you, brother.
And I know you'll close this thing out. I'm gonna hop back on and watch you finish this thing out, because again, I'm in student mode, but I have to get this boy to school. I love you out
Absolutely.
there.
School is so important, right?
Yeah, man. I love you, brother.
Love you, man. Have a blessed day. We'll talk
Sure.
later. All right. Everybody, give it up for Coach Teal Clay. The man is actually a living legend, right? And he may not think so, but I think he's a living legend. And if you ever get a chance to be in the same room with somebody like Coach Teal Clay, don't hesitate. Don't hesitate. Every time he has so much wisdom, but he is so humble. And that's one of the things that I love about him. I'm so happy that he and I have unified. We're in this unified leadership lab. We're going to be in a lab. Think about it. We're going to put on our white coats. We're going to get to work. We're going to create. We're going to put something together that's never been done. And that's what the lab is about. It's unified leadership lab. How do we come together? So let's talk about what remains once you leave a room, right? Clarity. Do people know what to do without you? That's one of the most important things. When you leave the space, when you leave someone else in charge, Are they clear? Do people know what to do without you? Do they operate at a level that you set? But first of all, you have to set the level. If you don't set the level, how will they know where to rise up to? So if you set the level low, they may only stay there. Only a few will rise above that level. But if you set the level high, not high where it's never achievable, but high enough where they have to work to get there, they will rise. But you have to believe in them for them to rise. You have to, first of all, be clear that you believe in them. So let's talk even about culture. Do they treat each other how you model them to be able to treat each other, the way you treat them? Because a lot of times a leader leads by example. That's how I lead. I know that's how Coach Teal leads. And many of you lead that same way. You model what you want other people to follow. So leadership leaves behind a bunch of different things. I'm going to tell you what there is. The language, the way you speak, the way you communicate, the standards you set, the energy you bring into the room, and your decision-making patterns, because success does leave breadcrumbs. But sometimes, like Coach Teal Clay said, you have to say, I'm going to say something that's going to impact the way you lead. So please don't leave it to memory. Jot this down. I don't care if you have to use a crayon. I don't care what you need to do, but let's make it happen. And so when we do that, it is important that every single time that we follow our own guide. It's the guide of helping someone achieve something greater than themselves. That's the way I like to lead. I like to help people truly understand who they are as a human being. How are they leading? How are they entering the space of leadership? Because you may be leading a group, but if you're called away, Coach Teal had to take his son to school. He left me to close out the show. I'm honored that I've been left with that task. And even if it was me who had to take my son, or I had to go do something, I know that he would be honored, because we understand the level of leadership that we need to leave behind so somebody else can rise to it. So you need to be clear as to what your leadership goals are. So let's talk about the dead leadership versus living leadership. And what do I mean by that? So dead, think about the silence, the confusion, and the avoidance over reliance. And then the living ownership of leadership is communication. That's probably the number one and most important aspect of leadership, is communication and trust. Those are the key insights that you need to ask yourself. Are those the key ingredients that I'm leaving behind when I am walking out the room? Did I communicate the mission clearly? Did I leave somebody in charge who is going to carry out the mission? Because you don't just leave the room and hope that somebody's going to take over. Because sometimes it may be somebody who really wants to do it, but they don't understand the concept of how to truly lead. And so therefore, it's important that you're clear. If you're the leader and you have to leave, that you choose somebody who understands what has to happen when you're not there. that they will lead. And don't get me wrong, they're not going to do it exactly like you. And you should have trust that they're going to do a better job than you will anyway, because you put them in that role. And they need to rise up, and they need to rise up above anything that they even thought themselves capable of. Because when we're put under pressure, that's when we either do like a pressure cooker. You either cook or you explode. So the question is, are you going to cook when you're left in a leadership position? Are you leaving the right person in charge? So you don't need to ask if leadership is just working, just listening to the room when you're not leading it. You need to know that it is going to work when you leave it. So I am sure that Coach T.O. Clay would tell you about the battlefield and what happens when a leader needs to leave somebody else in charge. The orders are given, but execution happens when the leaders step up. And as a martial arts instructor, I ask the students to perform, but the test truly comes if they can perform without anyone leading them to do so, doing it on their own. So leadership is not the command, it's the execution without you saying, do this, do that, do this, do that, because they've done it so many times, so they can truly follow. So after you leave, do people feel empowered or do they feel pressured? Are they pressured to try to step up, or do they feel like, I've been trusted? I've been given the keys to the castle. Now what do I do? How do I lead? How do I maintain? So there should be no second guessing. It should be leadership 101. You know what you're doing. You know how to do it. So consider every time that you step into a room, how you assess a room. When I step into a room with a bunch of different leaders, I'm not necessarily the first one to speak unless I'm leading that room, and I may have to. But a lot of times I'll walk into a room and I'll assess. I'll see who is stepping up, who's doing what, who is falling short. And so if that is the room that I am leading, then I know who to leave in charge when I have to leave that room. And so many times I will be in the room and people will look at me and go, we're waiting for you to lead. And I will say, you're leading. And all of a sudden they're like, what? Yes. I'm just here as a observer. So please lead. So do they feel connected to the situation, or do they feel isolated? Now everybody's looking at me. Do they feel nervous, or do they say, okay, I now have been given the opportunity to lead. Let me lead. So sometimes leadership is emotional. It's an imprint on who you are becoming. It helps with your identity. Are you a leader or are you a follower? And I'm both, because sometimes I need to follow great leaders so I know how to lead better. So it's not just instruction, it's following. And following somebody who is going to lead through their actions. So leaders don't avoid the tension. If anything, they address it quickly. If there's tension, they address it. They don't skip it over. They consider what is happening in the space, in the moment, at that time. So what you don't repair only compounds to bigger and bigger problems. And so what you tolerate after the moment becomes what your team believes is acceptable. And that's going to be an issue. It's going to be an issue that if it keeps building up, it becomes a disease. It becomes this thing that will tear things apart. So we need to address a situation fast. And sometimes you may need to ask other people to step up to the plate and help with assessing the situation and how do we act. And sometimes that's where the mastermind comes in. How do we handle this together? You don't always have to be the number one leader. If you have other leaders around you and you can say, I know how I would do it. How would you do it? And how would you do it? And how would you do it? And how you? So now you can assess every possible situation and then come together and say, now that we have all these ideas on the table, how do we address this issue? So leaders who distribute ownership become greater leaders. Remember that. Let me say that again. Leaders who distribute ownership become greater leaders. It's not about you. It's about us. It's about the mission. How do we accomplish something? So a great leader will always encourage others to think outside the box, outside the norm. And we even allow controlled failure. There's so many times I will have a leader who's maybe standing next to me and they will see somebody who is not doing well. And they immediately want to go help them. And I stop them, I pull them back and I go, no. Let's let them fail. Let them fail. And then that becomes a lesson. So the goal for me to help somebody understand where they are is sometimes they need to fail so they can see that they don't have all the answers. But if we don't let them fail, they will always think that they're successful. And success, constant success, does not allow for pressure. We need to feel the pressure of failing. To me, that's a team that can operate, decide, and grow even when you're gone, because they understand the value of moving up and taking control and hitting it to a depth that truly, truly, truly helps them elevate themselves and elevate the people around them. So think about this. When things go wrong in your absence, what did you look at first? Who did you look at first? Your people or your leadership? How often do you train someone to think, not just follow orders, but to think on the orders? And let's consider a couple of things that I personally do. What's the difference between enforcing discipline in the moment and building discipline that lasts? And for me, it's always about assessing a situation. How can I help another leader rise to the occasion? Maybe I have to point out certain things, but I have to think about those things that I want to point, those things that I want to call on. And so how do you create a standard so strong that people themselves become accountable for? So where do real leaders sometimes lie to themselves about their impact? So one of the things I don't like doing is assuming, because you know what happens when you assume, right? We need the hard truth. Leaders don't want to hear about why their team isn't performing. They want to know the whys and where did we miss out? How did we get to this point? And then how do we build it back up? So when did you personally, I'm going to ask you, and you can put in the comments if you like, or you can just think about it. When did you realize that your leadership had truly transferred to others? And have you ever seen leadership fall apart the moment someone left the room? And also, you have to ask the hard question of what caused it to fall apart. If you walked away for a week from your business, from your leadership position, what would actually happen? Would your team move forward? Or would they pause and wait for you to come back? So let's talk about the environment. Where in your environment has leadership gone silent? What conversations, and so many leaders avoid conversations. So many conversations that we should have, we don't have because we're avoiding that which could bring your team back to life, because maybe we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. And it's not about hurting their feelings. It's about making them the leader they're supposed to be. Hey, Ray White, thanks for joining in, brother. Appreciate you. I'm sorry, Roy White. Roy White. Yeah. So consider all the time that we have in our own head, in our own space, if you will. Every day, you're in here. Sometimes you got to get out of here and get into here, which is your heart. Because if you don't say the things that may hurt somebody, it may hurt them in the long run. So I'd rather say it with love and hurt your feelings, but let you know that I'm doing this because I know the outcome will be greater if I tell you now than I hold up and wait. So if you like, drop in the chat, what's one thing your team does without you that makes you proud? Oh my gosh, I am so proud of my team so many times. And I let them know, but also, are you letting them know? And be honest, where does your team still depend on you way too much? I know where my team does. And so when I realize that they depend on me on this part, I pull back. I give them the space, and it's okay if they fail. I have to allow failure to happen, but also it's calculated. I don't want the worst failure. I don't mind some failure, but if I can let them fail, I will. And what's one standard you've allowed to slip away lately? What's something that you say, oh man? But it's about taking full responsibility, right? And you guys all know this book here, right? Extreme Ownership, right? And it's by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, right? Extreme ownership. You have to truly take control of that for yourself. So remember this, anyone can lead when they're needed. The real question is, what happens when you're not? What happens to you when you're not? What happens to the mission when you're not? Where do we fall short as a leader? Let me share this video with you guys again, because I think it's an important one. And it's okay if you watch it now or watch it later. Please share with us and let us know what you think.
Unify leadership.
This is what we do, man. This is what we live. This is our calling. And you walk away with a working document, something that you could hold, that's intangible, that you could utilize, man, wherever you are on the journey. This is not for one specific element. This is for real leaders to grow that leadership acumen, to be better in the home, be better in your community, be better in your workspace, be better in your organization, your teams, man.
If you feel you have no value after day one, we'll give you your money back.
Indeed. 100%, bro.
That's how we stand behind what we believe in.
Unify leadership. Raise that bar, leaders in rhythm, born to spar. Raise that bar, leaders in rhythm, born to spar. Steady and true, the sound of the few that follow new. Strong alive, this is the beat where leaders thrive. Unify leadership.
So yes, join us May 15th through the 17th in New York. The cool thing about that particular event is that it is an actual workshop. It's 3 days of workshop. Don't get me wrong, we're going to have a meeting after the meeting. We're going to have incredible time to be able to share deeper connections, get to know one another. But it's something that, it's a workbook that you can actually take with you and implement. So we don't want to just give you something that you're going to leave with and file somewhere, put in your drawer. It's something that you can actually take and use right away in your personal life, in your professional life, because there's only two lives that we live, right? Your personal and your professional life. What other life is there? So when I say personal, that's entertainment, vacations, time with the family, journaling, reading, going to the movies, going out to with friends. That's your personal life. Your professional life is what allows you to have the best personal life. It's where you help other people. And if there's two ways you can help people, you can help your boss, and they're going to give you a paycheck for that. Or the other one is where you help your clients, and they're going to give you a paycheck to help you with your livelihood. So those are the only two lives that we have. And when we think about the professional life, the better we're at our professional life, in our business, if you will, in our leadership, the better we're going to have a personal life. So every day when you encounter your professional life, you should be so focused in everything based on your business. Your business gives you everything that you need. But there has to be some sort of a balance, because you don't want to say for the next 10 years, I'm not going to have any other life but my professional life, because it's not worth it. It really isn't. And if you want to be a billionaire, is giving up your life worth that? I'd rather be a billionaire in life than in business, because I want to live my life. Money is a great thing. Money does not buy happiness. It buys the opportunity to do things that give you joy. Excuse me. So money does not buy you happiness, but money gives you the opportunity to do things that you can enjoy. It can help other people. The money you make should not be about you. It should be how can I use this money to help others? So when you think about leadership that breathes, that breath of leadership is about helping others. So what remains after the moment is exactly that. So if I make a lot of money, that money will buy happiness if you think of it the right way. So money is not happiness, it's what you can do with the money that can bring you joy, bring you happiness. But there's a lot of people who only go for the money and they're miserable. They're miserable. Who needs to be miserable? I don't want to be miserable. So for me, money is a guide and a tool to bring happiness not only to my life, but to my family and to my clients and to my friends and to those people in my life. So every day when you consider the second life, right? One life is personal. Second life is business, professional. Be great at both of them. Be great at both of them. But do yourself a favor when you're in one life cycle, be in that life cycle. If you're living for the moment and you're with your family, be with your family. If you're living in the moment and you're at work, be at work. Be present wherever it is that you are, whether it's your personal life or your professional life. Both of those lives are critical. They're both critical to you. And when you understand that there is a difference between them, but yet they can be married, they can merge, you got to do it in a smart way. You got to be the leader who understands the value of each one of them. And this is one of the things I love teaching people about, how to leverage you. You can't leverage other people. Good morning, Angeline. Definitely. Life in Florida. Thank you for being here with us. So you can't leverage anyone else. True leverage. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people who leverage other people. Somebody who works for you, you leverage them because they're going to do your tasks. That's fine. But I'm talking about leveraging yourself, understanding you. And when you leverage yourself, you know what you're capable of. You know what challenges you have and even how to overcome. It is incredible when we can take our leadership and make it breathe, bring it to life. Between dead leadership and live leadership, I choose live. I choose to communicate properly to my team, to my family, to my members, to my clients. Every day is a chance to grow, to be exceptional. So I encourage you to be exceptional every single day. Every day, you have a choice to have a great life. Don't wait for someone else to give you a great life. You choose the great life you want and how you lead your life. So do yourself a favor. Come join us May 15th through the 17th. We're going to be in New York. Here's the cool thing about it, right? If you come and you pay for the 3-day event and you come to me 3-4 hours after the first day and you go, this stinks. This is not what I wanted. This is horrible. I'll give you your money back. That doesn't mean you stay. You have to leave, but you get your money back. And I've never been to an event that ever promised to give you your money back. Even if you did the whole first day and you go, I got nothing out of it. If you come and you did not even write in your book, because we're going to give you a workbook, if you didn't write in it, if you didn't do anything, if you didn't participate, if you sat in the corner, we don't even want you there anyway. So we will give you your money back. We only want people who are going to come and grow and participate and take their business to the next level. Take that personal life to the next level. We're not just going to, this is not just a leadership summit, if you will, for you, your business. This is a leadership summit for you, for both your lives, for your personal life and your professional life. So consider coming and change the trajectory of who you will become. Because you cannot be the same person tomorrow. And if you are, you have no growth mindset. I'm not calling you out in a bad way. I'm just challenging you to grow daily, every day. It's an opportunity to be better than you were yesterday. So I want to thank you guys for being here with us. I do want to play that video one more time, if you guys allow me. Take a look at it. Here we go.
Unify leadership.
This is what we do, man. This is what we live. This is our calling. And you walk away with a working document, something that you could hold, that's intangible, that you could utilize, man, wherever you are on the journey. This is not for one specific element. This is for real leaders to grow that leadership acumen, to be better in the home, be better in your community, be better in your workspace, be better in your organization, your teams, man.
If you feel you have no value after day one, we'll give you your money back.
Indeed. 100%, bro.
That's how we stand behind what we believe in.
Raise that bar, leaders in rhythm, born to spar. Raise that bar, leaders in rhythm, born to spar. Steady and true, the sound of the few that follow new. Strong alive, this is the beat where leaders thrive. Unified leadership.
I got to tell you, I truly love what Coach Theo Clay and myself are doing. And it's because we both love leadership. We both love helping others to enhance not just the word, but the thought of leadership. How do we lead? First, we got to start with us, then we got to help other people. So we'd love to have you in New York with us, and say, God bless everybody. Have an exceptional rest of your day, and we will see you next week. Take care.
Unify leadership. Let's move. Let's lead. Let's ride. Unify leadership. Light the flame, turn it up loud. Remember the name.